Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So today I want to share 5 free resources that I use to help find new investment ideas. Okay, these are 5 sites that really help me out. The first one I want to point to is Value Investors Club. Okay, I've talked about this a lot in other videos, but it remains a fantastic resource. I think it was started around the year 2000 by Joel Greenblatt. As a way to get people coming together, get great investors coming together, sharing investment ideas. I guess it's pretty competitive. It's hard to get in. In a recent Joel Greenblatt interview, he was saying, if he had a business class he taught at Columbia, if he had a business class where there were 40 students, maybe only the top student would get in. Okay, that's how rigorous it is. But you don't need to be a member. Okay, you don't need to have submitted an investment idea that got accepted. Anybody can sign up for this website, and you can view ideas that are 45 days old or older. Okay, so you missed that first month and a half of the freshest ideas, but that's okay. So there's a few ways to kind of play around with this website. This is the home page. You can sort by all ideas, bookmark contest winners, most recent, most active, highest overall rated by market cap, by location, whatever country you want to look in, long and short. So there's a lot of different ways you can parse this. You can also search for a particular company. Say I'm interested in Google, it'll pop down all of the write-ups for Google along with the date that it was written up. And if it was a short, okay, there'll be a letter S there in red. So Google, the most recent write-up for Google is a short report. So kind of interesting there. One more thing about Value Investors Club is you can look at famous investors, their write-ups from when they used to submit ideas to Value Investors Club. So a couple you can look at, Nish697, this is Monish Pabrai, okay? You can look at all the write-ups that he had from December 10th, 2001 up through December 12th, 2006. Okay, it looks like 5 years he was actively submitting write-ups to Value Investors Club. So you can really jump in his head and see how he was looking at these investment opportunities, which is obviously quite valuable. We've got Michael99, none other than Michael Burry, Dr. Michael Burry of The Big Short. You can see he's got, 7 different write-ups. 3 of them won this bi-weekly contest, okay, for best write-up. So that's pretty good. Almost half of his write-ups won that award. I think it's like you get $5,000, something like that. The last investor that I want to point out on Value Investors Club, Charlie479, clearly a Charlie Munger fan. This is none other than Norbert Liu of Punch Card Capital. Look at this, guys. He's got 7 write-ups. Here's the famous NVR was his first write-up. Of these 7, 6 of them won. Okay, 6 of them won this bi-weekly contest. Pretty incredible. And his most recent from 2009. So this is a fantastic resource just to jump into the minds of these incredible investors. And there's many more managers that are quite famous today who you can find on Value Investors Club. If you just search Twitter or wherever else, you can find their handles and then find their write-ups. Okay, so that's Value Investors Club. The second is Dataroma. Now, Dataroma is going to get very popular over the next week, 2 weeks, as these great investors' 13F filings are released. Dataroma is really a website for putting in one place all of these 13F filings. So you can see here, Guy Spear and Rob Vinall have already filed for Q4. I think the deadline for filing is February 15th, so just 9 days from now. But if we jump into Rob Vinall's page on Dataroma, it's just a really user-friendly way to see what has changed in the 13F filings. You can look up the 13F directly through the SEC.gov website, but you've got to pull the current one, pull the one from last quarter, and compare them. It's quite clunky to do that. Dataroma has done it for us in a much easier way to quickly see if there were any changes. So you can see here, less than 1% reduction in his Salesforce position. Everything else is the same in terms of what happened in the fourth quarter for Rob Vinall. I can move this back up now that I got access to those VIC write-ups. So that's how I use Dataroma. I'm going to be using it a lot, like I said, over the next week or two as these 13Fs are released. It's just a very quick way to see, for these super investors with their U.S. holdings, what changed. So I'm sure I'll be revisiting this in a week and a half or so to put out my super investor video. The next website, OpenInsider. Okay, OpenInsider, again, like Dataroma, it's a very user-friendly way to see, if there's been insider buying or selling in public companies. You can also run a search for, here's how I set up the search: filing date last 6 months, buy. So this was an outright buy of stock. It wasn't a derivative transaction, so it wasn't, options were exercised. It's these insiders actually put money down to buy stock. And then I selected specific insiders. Okay, you can leave this open to all insiders. I'm particularly interested in seeing chairman of the board, CEO, president, CFO, of those titles in these companies. Who's been buying? What companies have had buying activity from those insiders specifically? So you can run a search, last 6 months, last 12 months, last 2 years, whatever you want. Oh, last thing, traded more than $100,000. Okay, I put 100 in here. This is in thousands. So it's a minimum of 100,000 was transacted. So that's the search I ran. And you can see here, it comes up with the company name, the ticker, the filing date and trade date, what the title was of the person in the company. These are all purchases, so they're all going to be in green. If you include sales, sales will be red. So it's it's easy to identify what was a purchase and what was a sale. You see what price they bought, how many shares, what they owned before, the change in share amount, and then the dollar value that was added. So this is a fantastic site for quickly identifying, say I'm looking in the last 3 months, what companies had CEO insider buys greater than, say, $100,000. I can very quickly come up with that list of companies that meets that criteria. And then I can take that list and I can drill deeper. Is the company cheap? I can screen for additional metrics to help me drill down on which businesses do I actually want to take a deeper look at. Or if I want to screen out, by industry. A lot of these companies, I can see LendingTree, in the financial services, I'm going to get rid of those right away. Pharmaceuticals, I can screen those out. So it's just a really great starting point. If insider activity is kind of near the top of your screening criteria, you can start here with that. The next I want to talk about, this is actually an email newsletter that I'm subscribed for. It's free. It's from MOI Global, Manual of Ideas. And every week, I think it's on Saturday, I get this email that has a bunch of great articles to look at, letters, presentation, write-ups, if you want to get insights into various industries, letters from all of these different funds, company insights, company slides, videos we're watching this week, podcasts we're listening to this week. Usually what I do with this, usually it's on Sunday, I'll open everything that looks interesting. Okay, maybe I'll have 10 to 15 tabs open on my computer. I will set my timer for 10 minutes each. So I'll open the first tab. I'll say, okay, I'm going to spend no more than 10 minutes on this. If I'm like, wow, this is incredible, I want to come back to this, I'll set it aside and spend half hour, however long I need to spend on it. But that way, 10 minutes each, I can get through the whole list to the maybe handful of things in here that I want to dive deeper on. And then that's what I'll do. Maybe the next day is kind of dive deeper on those particular resources. So again, just a fantastic resource. Big shout out to John for putting this together every week. And again, it's free. Definitely recommend signing up. It's the email I look forward to most each week, particularly in the investing space. Now, the last resource I want to talk about, I'm going to move this again, is good old-fashioned SEC.gov, okay, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission website. Now, how do I like to use this? There's one way in particular that I really like to use this. Let's look up Leet Corp. Okay, this is a company I'm spending a little bit of time on. They make equipment for motorcycle drivers, protective equipment. So I click on Leet. I can do this for any company, any public company in the US. Now, what I use this for is to find out what's the insider ownership look like, okay? With OpenInsider, it tells you insider transactions, buying and selling. But if I just want to know the insider ownership, I go to SEC.gov and I'll go to the proxy. Of course, there's no proxy. If there's no proxy, I'll go to the 10K. Okay, so I'll click on the latest 10K, the annual report. And I'll wait for it to load. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Loading inline form. Yes, please do. Okay, so here's the 10K for Leet. I'm going to scroll down. This is what I'm looking for. Security ownership of certain beneficial owners and management. Okay, click on that. And I get to item 12, security ownership of certain beneficial owners and management. Okay. Now, usually what I look for first is what is the insider ownership as a percentage for all officers and directors as a group, okay? All insiders, effectively. Now, this is a little odd because there's multiple share classes here. But you can see common stock, the insiders, all officers and directors as a group, own 42% of the common stock outstanding, okay? I would say that's a very large insider ownership percentage. There's another share class, this Class A, voting convertible preferred, that the insiders own 80% of, okay? So, this, I really like to see, before I get too far into a company, that there's a strong insider ownership. I want to make sure that the incentives for management are pretty well aligned with mine as a shareholder. So if the insiders own a lot of stock, like I do, that makes me much more comfortable that they're going to make decisions that are in the best interest of shareholders, right? Because they are shareholders. They own a significant stake of the business. Of course, you also probably want to look at, how are they compensated? How much of their compensation is stock versus, cash, things like that. but when I see 42% insider ownership, it gives me a real good feeling that the management team, and of course this isn't necessarily the management team, this is all officers and directors, but you can see up here the founder, innovation officer, and there might be something missing there. The founder and innovation officer owns 36% of the common stock, okay? That's awesome. I love to see founders with a lot of skin in the game. The CEO, president, and director owns 5%, okay? You know, 5% is fairly substantial. If you want to go deeper, you might figure out, okay, how much is that 5%, right, in dollars? And what is the net worth of Sean McDonald? To get a sense for how does his stock ownership, how much of his net worth does that make up? Okay, so that's something you could do to dive deeper, but this is a fantastic starting point to get a sense for how aligned is management with shareholders in this company. So those are it, guys. The 5 free resources that I use all the time: Value Investors Club, Dataroma, OpenInsider, the MOI Global email newsletter, and SEC.gov for insider ownership information. You know, there's a lot of tools that you can kind of screen for insider ownership. Those aren't always very accurate, okay? This is the best place to go for the latest information on insider ownership, SEC.gov. Obviously, a little bit different if it's a company that's outside of the US. There's other tools for that, but maybe that's another video if you guys want to go there. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.